All right. Shalom, shalom. Before we get into this live stream, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem, Yahweh
Yahshua,
Shai,
Yahshua,
Hashem,
Yahshua,
Dash.
Dash.
Also, as well, double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone that continue to rule very well to this very day, that is still to this very day, continually feeding the flock through the spirit and probably how about Shemel Shai. And also, as well, shalom to the hopefully elect that's also laboring his work, doing the same things in his ministry, spreading his gospel to other members of the hopefully elect in all faith, truth, and sincerity, and also in all charity. All right. Now, of course, like the title says, this is the sign of the prophet Jonah. All right. And what that entails is that in these days that we're living in today, all right, you're going to have that's the sign which Yahweh Shai was speaking of when he was speaking to the people, is that it's going to be a sign of the prophet Jonah. All right. Because when you read in the scriptures, it said that, the people were looking for a sign, you know. And right now in this time, okay, the sign that's given unto the people is the same sign that Yahweh Shah was speaking of back when he was in the flesh. Okay, which is what? The sign of the prophet Jonah, which basically means that you're gonna have prophets to prophesy, all right, against the city. All right. And now the city that we're in today, all right, the city that is up in high esteem and in rulership, okay, is Babylon the Great, okay, which is today is America. All right. And here it is. You got that same energy, the same vibration. All right. Which you have the prophets out today. Okay. Prophesying against Babylon the Great. Okay. And we're bringing the message that Babylon is about to be destroyed. Okay. That the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, is set to return. Okay. And destroy this wicked kingdom off the face of the earth. All right. So if you can, brother, you can go ahead and grab Luke chapter 11, start at verse 29.
Come.
Okay. But yeah, like the scriptures say, again, concerning the title of the live stream, again, you have the prophets that are speaking of the things that are to come, which are what? The plagues, all right, which are the main plague, which is spoken of within the Bible and the scriptures, all right, or the last plague, should I say, to overtake, this current world and this kingdom is by way of fire, all right. Now that's the last plague, all right, which is spoken of within the scriptures as that's going to destroy this current kingdom, okay. And this is what the Lord has chosen to use, all right, in order to cleanse the earth. Okay. And like I said, concerning that, you have the prophets that are telling the people these things, all right, especially our people, all right, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the true Israelites, okay, let them know that this is about to go down, okay, because with every rulership and kingdom that has ever was set forth, all right, whenever the Lord would set up prophets, okay, to go out and to prophesy to the people, okay, and today makes it no different, you know, that same vibration, okay, or that same motive, all right, or action, or motive of action is still going on to this very day, man. Okay, and why is that? Because the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai has risen up those same spirits, okay, that were prophesying, all right, that He raised them up again in this time, okay, and that's why you see men, all right, standing up, all right, on the highways and byways, bringing this message, okay, bringing the message that was given to us by the Most High, all right, and giving that message on over, all right, to the people here, all right, which are mainly our people, okay, because our people are known as the sons of the Most High, all right, the Israelites, all right, the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of, man, okay, but you got that precept out, Luke 11:29.
Yep. This is Luke 11:29. And when the people were gathered thick together, he began to say, "This is an evil generation. They seek a sign. There is no sign, and there shall no sign be given it, but the sign of Jonas the prophet. For
That's right.
as
So it
Jonas
says
was a
this is
sign." Mhm.
Slaki. Yeah, it says this is an evil generation. Okay, and guess what? That still stands to this very day, man. That's why the scriptures say there's no new thing under the sun. Okay, because you always have the same generation. All right, that's recycled with each age. Okay, because you have a generation that was of the righteous. Okay, that died in the ancient world. Okay, in which they're back today. Okay, because the scriptures speak about reincarnation, or what the scriptures deem as regeneration. Okay, so guess what? That same righteous generation, okay, is back today. Okay, and you got the wicked generation or the evil generation that's back today as well. Okay, and guess what? they're looking for something that's tangible, you know, like always, you know, because scriptures speak about the people or the majority of our people being natural men, and not being able to receive the things of the spirit. Because when it comes to prophecy, this is spiritual. All right, you're not gonna find your high level scholars or prognosticators or what have you that's gonna go into the Bible and be able to break these things down. Why is that? Because the Lord hasn't given them the spirit to understand these things. Okay, but the Lord has chosen men, all right, out of the face of the earth, all right, to receive these things, okay, and to publish them, okay, and that's the reason why the Lord gave us His messages in order to publish it, all right, and that's what you see today, because this is an urgent message from Yahweh Bashmi Shai, our Lord, okay, letting you know and giving you warning about what's to come, okay, and this is what He's doing for His elect men, okay, because everything that the Lord has done up to this point has always been for the elect of the nation of Israel, okay, because that is going to be the generation, like I mentioned before, to inherit all things along with Yahweh Shai. All right, yeah, but you got it up.
Now verse 30 says, "For as Jonas was a sign unto the Ninevites, so shall also the Son of Man be to this generation."
That's right. So as Jonah was a
yep.
slide.
I was going to say real
quick.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Come.
Okay, I was just going to add this point that all throughout the scriptures, even in the beginning of that chapter in Luke, when you go back to Luke 11:1, not Luke 11:1. Let me see, 11:16. It says, "And others tempting him sought of him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. The house divided against itself shall fall." So it seems as if at that time, right, in Israel, there was a lot of people wanting to seek more signs, right? You even had a certain account in the book of Acts, and where when Paul and Peter were doing works and miracles, there was a man who was following them who believed, who asked them, "Can I have the power that you have, so I can?" And he was known before that time to be like a sorcerer, and I believe he was cursed with blindness, if I'm not mistaken, right? He was blinded for a period of time. And so now you have in ancient Israel, it was all about seeking those signs, those miracles. In Matthews 12:38, it says, "Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee." So there wasn't even the first time people was asking that was a thing that the Pharisees would do to try to trip Yahweh up. In Matthew 12:39, it said, Yahweh shall reply, "The wicked and adulterous generation demands a sign." Same as it's in Luke 11:29. So it's written in here a few times, right? Telling you that a wicked and adulterous generation, right? And that wicked and adulterous generation is here again, right? Seeking these signs and trying to disprove faith, right? And in the book of Matthews, let me get one more for you. In the book of Matthews, where am I at? 16. And I'm gonna start at 1. I'm just trying to grab the King James. Let's see if I could grab the King James real quick. It's the same thing. In the King James, it's the same thing as we just read in Luke. It says the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came. So this is pretty much the main culprits to getting Yahweh Shai crucified was the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees. They see Yahweh Shai as being that one who would knock them off of their high horse. All right, he was they knew about a Messiah, but they treated Yahweh Shai as if he wasn't him. And they didn't have faith to understand that was him. That's why when Yahweh Shai asked Peter, "Look, do you believe, that who do you think I am? Who do they say I am? Or who do you think I am?" He said, "I believe you basically the Messiah. I believe you are Yahweh Shai. You were, the anointed one, the one who's going to return and bring Israel back to the Father, and restore Israel back to its righteous state. And the Yahushua told him that flesh and blood is what revealed this to you, right? I mean, Salakia, you wasn't revealed by flesh and blood, but by faith, spiritual insight. Okay, the Most High opening your mind to see something divine that most people can't see if they don't have that same perception, that spiritual perception. You're able to grasp things that you can't see with your, and that's what faith is, right? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. And so when we're dealing with the signs, we know that the majority of these signs that we seeing, they still not going to be able to see it because they don't have, it's not mixed with faith. And even if they do see it, like they do, a lot of people acknowledge, oh look, America's going to shit, or America's going, it's going to be in a war, and it's going to be a third world war. But they don't have faith that Yahweh Shah is going to come back and deliver his elect. Their faith stops where they can't see. So in Matthew 16:1, it says, the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and desired, because it's all attempt. It was to tempt the Lord. It was to get him to trip him up, so that the people can see that, don't follow him. Instead of them thinking that the Pharisees don't want you to follow him, or the Sadducees don't want you to follow him. They tried to trip him up so that people could just make their own conclusion and turn away. And this is the attempts that they made to make Yahweh Shai like a bad figure before they just decided, let's just kill him. It says, so before then they were just tempting him. It says, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. So they are signs of the times. The signs of the times was written about in Matthew 24, signs of the Lord's coming, right? About there be false messiahs, right? About there be wars and rumors of wars. And so all of these so-called scholarly, it's the scholarly ones of Israel who are the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees that didn't believe that Yahweh Shai was the Messiah, and that wanted the minds of the people to turn back to them. They were jealous of the power because Yahweh Shai would go through and just speak to the multitudes, man. And just his words alone would command their attention. But he wasn't authorized by none of the higher ups to be able to make these speeches, and he wasn't a Pharisee or a Sadducee. And so that just disrupted the whole government of Israel at that time, who was under the vibration of the Roman Empire. And they felt like Yahweh Shai was a big problem for them. That's why you read on, it says, and in the morning it will be foul weather, right? For the sky is red and lowering. Oh, you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the times? They wanted a sign, right? They wanted Yahweh Shai to prove in a sign that he was the Messiah, prove in a sign that he had authority from heaven, prove in a sign that all these things that he was prophesying of to the multitude was going to come to pass, but he wouldn't give it to him. And then he left them with this puzzling thing where he says, there shall be no sign given to you but except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Which, when you go back into it, Jonas was in the belly for 3 days. Yahweh Shai was in the grave for 3 days. Right? And so the sign was the miracle in which is known today as the resurrection, the death and the resurrection on the cross of Yahweh Shai. They didn't understand that. And that was the sign. That's all you need to know, that you'll see it when it happens. You know, so Yahweh Shah never gave in to what these guys with authority was talking about. And now you have the prophets and apostles coming back today. They want us to give authority to them. We have to give credence to the system, right? The system, which is Christianity. We have to go through the theologians and to go through, you know, we have to do debates with them in order to teach the word. No way. You know, that's another fallacy, man. This truth comes out on the streets, on the corners. It always has been. The word church goes back to the Greek ecclesia, which means to cry out. It ain't never been a thing of a building. The building, the house, is the body. It tells you that in the scriptures. The body is the members that make up the different parts of what is the church. It's the members that make up the church. Some teachers, some bishops, some apostles, some to exhort, some helpers, and then the rest of the believers. That's the body. We never needed, right, to go through some type of authority. You know, well, who are you under? We under the vibration Yahweh Bashem Yahushua by Hashem Rakakwadash. You got it, Masha. You want anything else?
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a beautiful point. Because see now, you know, like you were saying, you know, back in that time, you know, you had the ones that had a certain seat, you know, in the Roman Empire, you know, and when they witnessed, you know, Yahweh Shai, you know, creating miracles, you know, doing mighty works, you know, and teaching, you know, that was a detriment, you know, that was, they saw that, and they were seeing, you know, the believers that were following him, you know, and believed on him, you know, and that was basically disrupting what they had going on. So that's why they saw him as a threat. But not only that, you know, they saw him as just a common man, just how they do us today. You know,
Yep.
the same thing, man. You know, they see us as common men, like they saw Yahweh Shai as common man. Another thing too, you know, they knew his background. You know, they knew where he grew up at. You know, and then they knew he grew up in Nazareth. You know, and you already know the history behind Nazareth. You know, and how, you know, Nazareth was looked at amongst the rest of the Israelites. You know, that were living in like Judea. You know, in major cities like that. You know, and they were seeing they were seeing the Nazarene, you know, as just like, if you could compare it today, it's just like Jake that's in the ghettos, you know.
Yep.
And when they saw Yahweh Shai, you know, they say, "Oh man, you're from Nazareth. You know, we know you know your father, your mother, you know, your brothers and sisters, you know." And they saw that as an offense, okay, because he spoke, when he was speaking with authority, you know. But like you were saying, you know, they saw it when they were saying Yahweh Shai, they knew that, you know, he didn't come up under, you know, the you know, underneath the tutelage of the Pharisees, you know, the experts in the law, and things of that nature. All right. But yet he had all this wisdom, all right, which they saw, okay, and they were asking, you know, where did he get this wisdom from? You know, because they knew he didn't go into any sort of institutions or anything like that. You know, he wasn't, you know, learning up under them. Okay, so they were puzzled, you know, wondering, you know, how did he receive this wisdom? You know, and at that point, you know, they were offended because they were like, well, you know, this is just a regular guy, you know. But guess what? That's the same thing that's happening today again with us coming in instead of Yahweh Shai, because, you know, like Yahweh Shai he commanded us to go on the highways and byways since he gave us his word. Okay. And, you know, we're not underneath, you know, no sort of institutions or, you know, no theological seminaries or nothing like that, man. All right. So when this word is being brought out, you know, and we always get asked this, you know, they're saying like, you know, where your church at? You know, you always get asked the same question over and over again, man. And that's at that point where they're like, well, you know, if they don't see you, you know, underneath, you know, some sort of church or some sort of, you know, scholarly, you know, institution, you know, that's centered around the Bible, they're like, man, they look at that as like, man, you don't have any sort of knowledge or wisdom, all right? But again, you know, this word, the way that the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah does things, okay, he deals with the men that you see today, just like you see us, man. You know, you see us and you think that we're common men. You know, we come from different walks of life. Even the disciples later became apostles, the believers of Yahushua. Okay, they came from all different walks of life. All right, some were publicans, tax collectors, you know, and other areas of that kingdom as well. The Roman Empire, man. But they all had one thing in common: they believed that was the Son of the Heavenly Father, Yahushua. All right, and that's why again you got the same sign that Yahushua is speaking of. All right, the sign of the prophet Jonah that's taking place today. Okay, again, the men that came from different walks of life that believe on that believe on Yahushua. Okay, we all have one thing in common. Okay, so therefore that's why now you see that same sign happening again in this time. Okay, because now the people they require something that's tangible, something they can see, taste, touch, and feel, you know. But they don't realize that this is the sign that Yahushua is speaking of, that the prophets are gonna be out once again. Okay, but I think I think that's on Luke 11, 29 and 30. You holding something up? Can't hear you up.
Salaki, brother. Not yet. I'm looking for something.
Okay,
Well, I
come.
did have just some real quick edification on the system that in the government that was going on at that time that Yahushua had to face. And I just found the article is talking about Caiaphas. It says, meet Caiaphas, high priest of Jerusalem temple. And a little bit about him, it says, Caiaphas accused Yahushua of blasphemy, a crime punishable by death under Jewish law. But the Sanhedrin, or High Council, of which Caiaphas was president, did not have the authority to execute people. So Caiaphas turned Yahushua over to the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, who would carry out the death sentence. Caiaphas tried to convince Pilate that Yahushua was a threat to Roman stability and had to die to prevent rebellion. It says, the high priest served as the Jewish people's representative of Yahweh. Once a year, Caiaphas would enter the Holy of Holies in the temple to offer sacrifices to Yahweh. Caiaphas was in charge of the temple treasury, controlled the temple police, lower-ranking priests in attendance, and ruled over the Sanhedrin. His 19-year tenure implies that the Romans who appointed the priests were pleased with his services. So he was just a hireling, man. And the Lord spoke about hirelings. What we came to do was the work of the Heavenly Father, which is an appointment that doesn't need to go through man. It has to go through, it has to go through, it's divine. The Most High, pretty much, as the brother mentioned, woke us up out of all type of sleep so that we could serve one purpose. And that's to serve the Lord. Real quick, 2 Corinthians 1:21. Now he which establisheth us with you in Yahushua and hath appointed us is Yahweh. And so the Most High gives the appointment, and he does that by establishing the brotherhood in Yahushua, right? He is the vine, right? We attach to the vine. And as long as we attach to the vine and bring forth fruit, then he'll purge us and we can continue to do these works and become stronger in the Lord. Psalm 68:11, the Lord gave the word, great was the company of those that published it. So our job is to continue to publish this word. Here it is. If we took a 5-year hiatus to go get theological advisement, they try to set us up in some church inside. And the brother mentioned how it's not found. The scripture tell you that, he's not, the Lord is not found in the where is that? In the church made with hands, the temple made with hands. Those are part of the sign, the visuals that our people were still seeking, man. When you're seeking a nice elaborate church and you walk into a church and it's a mega church and it's all on TV and everybody's dressed nice and it got the representation of something nice, because you think gain is godliness, and you think because this church looks so damn nice that the Most High must be here and present here. Well, that was the same thing that was going, no different. That was the same thing that was going on during the time of Sanhedrin. You think the Herod and his temple wasn't immaculate? He wasn't set up. The Romans set him up. He was an Edomite. You think Caiaphas and his garments weren't immaculate? They were spotless, man. But he was still of a breed of men that Jewish sellouts to the Roman Empire. That's why it say he was appointed for 19 years. You don't just, be under the vibration of the Romans for 19 years and not have and the Yahweh Shai here it is. He only been teaching his mission was only for 3 years before they killed him. So imagine what the amount of rage and the stirring up that he was doing, because everything was all it was all pride, it was all arrogancy, it was all pompous attitude, and it was about lavishness. And he spoke about that. You are white as sepulchres, right? You had that. Go ahead.
I'm holding it right now. Yeah,
Go
I got to
ahead.
get it out. I'm holding it. Matthew chapter 23, verse 27. It says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness."
And who's he talking about? He talking about the wicked Pharisee, Sadducee. He's talking about the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin at that time, I got on Wikipedia, it says was an assembly of either 23 or 21 elders, known as rabbis. It says appointed to sit at a tribunal in every city in the ancient land of Israel. All right. So these guys were just saying whatever they say went, right? All right, but they was all, during that time was the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire had their hand heavily in what you call, what they call Judaism, which is our religion, our ways, our practices. But because we always had ways in which things were set up, we had a hierarchy from the time of Moses. You had the priest of Aaron, right? You had a high priest, you had a regular priest, you had the Levites. All right. You had prophets, you had apostles. Okay. You had new members. They call them proselytes. All right. You had bishops. All right. Deacons. There's offices in the ministry. But the point is, Yahweh Shah didn't come through any of that um so-called setup. He didn't come through the Sanhedrin. He ain't know nobody. As a matter of fact, his father, who they mentioned, the only reason they mentioned his father is because his father was a carpenter. That was just a regular. It had nothing to do with the authority in the land of Israel. He's just a lowly carpenter. And so they asked, like, he doesn't even know anybody. And the reason why they asked that is because to this day, nepotism is a real thing. Now watch this. It says it is questionable whether Caiaphas was appointed high priest because of his own merit, and his father-in-law served as high priest before him and got 5 of his relatives appointed to that office. How you think Annas got there, man? Caiaphas got there in the first place. It was nepotism, man. So that was going on in Israel. It says 5 of his relatives were appointed to the same office. So this was just a in the family thing, right? And that's not too far from how it is with the Levites. That's just how it was set up in the spirit for the Levites to be the priests. But here it is, Yahweh Shai, after the order of Melchizedek came and slipped right up in the and only got a chance to speak for 3 years before they, right? That's how grimy they were. And Yahweh Shai knew it. As soon as he started speaking, he knew that the level of evil that these men in the evil hearts, because it says it many times, Yahweh Shai perceiving that they are what they were saying, perceiving what they were thinking, he would hit them with this question. They even say anything to him sometimes. He just come up with a question for him. I know what you're thinking. So he knew to the point where he knew which men wanted to kill him. He knew, did he not know Judas was betraying him? So Yahweh Shah had all the premonition he needed to know that these guys are wicked, but they in authority. They're gonna be the ones that come against me. They don't understand this lot was established from before that. He said before Abraham, right? And then they really went on. But read that again out, Mabakasha.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to it. It's back at Matthew 23 and 27. It says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness.
Right. And a whited sepulcher is a place where you bury, it's a tomb, it's a place where you bury dead men. All right. And the white sepulcher, that's like a heavenly, it's a beautiful, certain tombs. You walk by a graveyard and certain tombs look immaculate. And they're like, wow, you know, certain tombs look immaculate from the outside in. You're like, well, that's, I might have granite. Well, whited sepulcher was a fancy, a nice tomb to be able to rest in. But what's on the inside, right? Read after say hypocrites.
Yeah, it says, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones.
And that's what we get. You appear great on the outside, but in the inside, and that's what Yahweh shot. That's what the Father told us to look for. Don't judge a man, base a man off of what's on the inside, and don't be so caught up on the outside. The scriptures talk about you accept a man with gay apparel, meaning like all these nice outfits and clothes. Our people still in this trap, man. This materialistic crap. You think the Lord emphasizes materialism over spirituality? What's inside a man, Yahweh Shah says, is not what goeth in, but what cometh out of the man. Meaning, these traditions and values that you esteem is not as important as what you actually saying and what you got to say. And that's why we know at the end of the day, the Lord appoints men to do this because the men of Great Millstone, although in the apostles, and this word being teached out in the street is the only thing that ever resonated with us. We done been in the church for how long, man? Brothers come from the church. They can't, well, you need to try Christianity. What do you mean? Brothers is straight up was in the choir. I'll speak for myself. I was so in the church. I was in the choir. I was sang in multiple choirs, man. Talking about 4 hours of singing and 2 hours of ministry. We done been there before. It's a fashion show. It's an adulterous haven. All right. A man will send his wife to church and allow his wife to be taught by another man. That's off as hell. The scripture says if she learn anything, let her learn at home from her husband. The whole thing has got to be thrown out, man. So the whited sepulcher, Yahweh Shah pointed that out, and that's still to this day, man. That stands to this day. You have a lot of so-called ministries out here where it's all about a fashion show, man. To the point where they calling Great Millstone the Bumite. Did you not know how Elijah dressed? Did you not know how John the Baptist looked? But these men who you would call bums as well, you would have. They called them similar names. They called John the Lord said? John came, right? As he came, you know what that's at?
Yeah, yeah. They say when he came, they say he had the devil or something to that effect.
They say he has a devil. And Yahweh Shah basically mentioned that because look, y'all didn't accept how John came, and he came that in that light, right? You would have said he was a little sketched out. He was in the wilderness. He was eating wild honey and locusts, and right, he had a garment of camel's hair. He kind of looked, bugged out to some individuals, and they say he got demons on him. But Yahweh Shah said, I came eating and drinking. I came amongst the people, and as the opposite of John. And you said I was a wine bibber and a glutton, and so you're going to talk regardless. They always going to talk about the men of the Lord. There ain't no way you got to come with. Why don't y'all just quiet it down a little bit? Because that's what they'll say. Why with GMS, y'all just too angry with it. Here it is. The spirit had it from where the apostles was on the street. Used to be raving. Until the whole thing became an edifying, right? And they still got they things to say about it. They still got they scoffing. The scoffers are still scoffing, man. The whole ministry been edified in front of your eyes. Went from that raw to edifying, and they still got an issue with it. There ain't no way you can come to a non-believer or unbeliever, somebody who wasn't set up to be in the receive salvation, and get him to understand the things that was going to bless him. It's not for him. What you
Yeah, I
got?
got a quick precept. This 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. This is, but the Lord Yahweh Shai said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord Yahweh Shai seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Yeah, so just
Mhm.
expound on that. Yeah, so like it says here, it said, look, the Lord doesn't look on the outward appearance, man. You know, some brothers, they got, certain ailments, certain things that's got hindering them from doing certain things. But no, man, no, the Lord still chose these men, all right, to do this work, because eventually, certain brothers, they got healed from certain things, once they came to the truth, you know, and guess what? That boosted their faith, all right, to continue in the work, man, you know, and here it is, like it says here again, you said the Lord looketh on the heart. It was the heart, that word heart is law, which means the mind,
Mhm.
okay, so and that's what we always going to, the mindset, basically, how what's dwelling within your mental, you know. And that's what the Lord looks on, man. And that's why the Lord has picked out certain men, because he looked on the heart or the mind, okay,
Mhm.
and saw that, look, this is a man of the Lord right here. This is my servant, you know. And so
Yeah.
therefore the Lord pulled him out of the world, you know, and had him go out and to teach his word.
Mhm.
All right. And there was another one I was holding to, if I can. Um,
Con.
so let me get it real quick. Um, Yeah,
Mhm.
so like you were saying earlier, right? I'm gonna get it real quick. I know I referenced it. So it's the book of Matthew, chapter 11, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna get to the point. Sorry, verse 18. It says, "For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he had the devil." All right. So like you was mentioning earlier, John the Baptist, he came neither eating or drinking, you know, and they said, look, he got demons on, like you were saying, he got a devil,
Mhm.
And they were saying like, that he was bugged out, you know.
Right.
So also in the next verse, right, verse 19, it says the Son of Man, which is Yahweh Shai, came eating and drinking. So, he was eating and drinking, man,
Yeah.
just
People person.
being amongst the people. Yeah. And reading on, it says, and they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a wine bibber, a
Can't
friend,
win.
yeah, exactly. A friend of publicans and sinners. See, and it was saying, look, he's buddied up with publicans, tax collectors, sinners,
Right.
people that that went off, so to speak. But here's the clause in that notion, right? It says, but wisdom is justified of her children.
Mm.
So no matter what, wisdom, the wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Shai, it justifies us, regardless of our shortcomings, you know. And it says here, justified of her children. So, no matter what we came out of, still we dwell with the wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay. And that's the mercy that the Lord has given unto us. All right.
Mm.
And like he's mentioned earlier, right? That's why you got today, people, they respect, and that's written in scriptures too. Book of James, it says they
Mhm.
have respect unto him that wear the gay clothing, okay,
Mhm.
and with a gold ring. All right, and guess what? That's the
Mm.
same thing, man. You got these, prosperity preachers. All right, these are TV evangelists. That puts on the show. All right,
Israelites too.
but yep. That's why you got certain people that call certain ones that call themselves Israelites, man. They got the flashy garments, you got the lavish armbands, everything, man. Just putting on the
Yeah,
show,
they got a
man.
whole PR team, man. They got a 24-hour PR team, public relations team that needs to make sure that their image is modified and presented peaceably and nicely in the eyes of the viewers. They doing it all for the viewers. It's all for show. They showy with it, and that comes from their their belief that is how the word of the Lord should be preached, man. They're not that different than the Christian churches that they condemn it. Christianity has assumed the role in making it visual. Okay, there's a large group of our people who fall short with that understanding that they believe gain is godliness. They just do. That's why it's written to prevent you from thinking that. That's why the Most High said, "Use." You have to see the inward man. You have to look at who's on the inside, because the outside, that we all the saying, you've been heard it the whole life. Everything that glitters ain't gold. And you'll sit there and look at something and it's shining. You just know it's gold. Man, that was spray painted gold. That's
That fool's
that's
gold.
that's gold plated. They don't have the same properties as gold. It doesn't have the same vibration as gold. They even got a metal called tungsten. It looked just like gold. It don't got the same exact value and properties as gold. It can't be replaced. Gold cannot be replaced. And so here it is, gold, right? And then the judgment, like the afflictions, is what purifies and lets you know what is real. So you also got to know a man. The scriptures tell you know a man in adversity. You know a friend is known in times of adversity. Like everything with the Most High has been is has to be proved. Prove all things. So a man, he makes a statement, even the prophet, and that's why the scriptures say they shall know that we were prophets. But when these things come to pass, then they shall know. And a lot of what we saying to them is future prophecy for the ones that can hear it right now and believe it right now. Good. That means the Most High is dealing with you, because this is not a thing that's easily to be comprehended by the average citizen, whether they're college educated or not. This thing is for a small remnant group of people who the Lord just chose from the foundations of the world. You were chosen out from the predestined from the foundation. Before you was in the womb, I knew you. And so this goes far way larger than your mental capacity, and right, like the brother who walks by every camp yesterday and says, "Judah." Now he ain't on his IQ level is substandard, but this man knows he's a Hebrew Israelite. This calling is for, it's a divine thing, man. It has nothing to do with how you are dressing, and for the average citizen, they can't even grasp that concept, Masha. And so it
Yeah.
brings you all the way back to the understanding that, wow, now you can see which camps who is really who as far as Israelites, because we're supposed to be onto something beautiful. When you come into this truth of understanding that you're an Israelite, we thought, you might have thought anybody who say they Israelite, I'm messing with them. But then you see what they doing, and they doing the same thing that the churches was doing, man. They the same thing. They doing the same thing that the Sadducees and Pharisees doing. They getting dressed up and presenting themselves with all the flyest and the brand new apparel like clothing to make the average unlearned person think that that's now even Paul said, look, to the Jew I became a Jew, and to the that don't what does that mean? When you go into the hood, you still wear how you deal with the people at the bottom. The scripture talk about Israel is the poor, right? And a lot of our people are in poverty, right? A lot of our people are impoverished, but we know the poor is dealing with we at a lower level in comparison to the other nations. But you to meet people, you can't meet everybody. Every Jake don't know what it's like to wear $5,000 clothes, $5,000 shirts and boots and shoes. That's what the niggas over there with in the Black consciousness movement. That's what they get off to. It's not a thing of that. Go ahead, Salaki.
Kind. I was
That's a great point,
gonna,
man, and I got something to back that up as well.
I just want to grab this real quick. And another thing too is that, man, you have to consider, when you look at the times that we're in today and how they see the men of the Lord, how they, call us bums, the scum of the earth. Scriptures say that we're going to be regarded as what? As the offscouring of the world.
That's right.
And you look at the word offscouring, that means scum.
That's
All right.
right.
And look, and when you consider Yahushua even said this, didn't even have a place to stay. He even had, a home to go to. He said, look, it said the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. So if Yahushua was here today, they would have said the same exact thing.
Uh,
That they would have called him a bum, you know, not knowing that this is the son of the Heavenly Father, man. You know, but there's a reason for that, man. Why? Because in here, this society, we don't really have a home, man. You know, there's nowhere
mm,
you can go anywhere here in Babylon, anywhere in the world. You know, you can't really have any sort of rest anywhere you go. Okay, because of the dominion, the kingdom that's in power right now, and that's how it was back when Yahushua was in the flesh. Okay, you
mm,
had Edomites that was in rulership, like back then. You know, and Yahushua knew that, and his disciples, okay, and that's why now, that same thing is happening again today, man. All right,
mm,
they see us as the scum of the earth, not knowing that. Look, we coming in, we coming instead of Yahushua. Look, he's even spoken of in the scriptures said we're going to be hated of all men for his name's sake. You
mm,
know, so when you got something that like you was mentioning earlier, right? Like a PR group, somebody there to, have you look a certain way, a certain fashion. Man, you doing that just to be seen, man.
mm,
It's in that same scripture that we just read earlier, right? Matthew the 23rd chapter, where it says that works ought to be seen of men. You know,
mm,
but I got there's one quick precept, right? It's the book of Matthew, chapter 13, and it's at verse 53. It says, "And it came to pass that when Yahushua had finished these parables, he
mm,
departed thence. And when he was come into his own country, right, amongst his own people, all right, he said he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished and said, whence hath this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Right. And like we was mentioned earlier, right, is that Yahushua, he didn't come up underneath, an institution or, that was set up in those times. All right. And that's why they were astonished. They're saying where did he receive his wisdom from? You know, and how is he doing these mighty works? Okay. Verse 55, it says, is not this the carpenter's son? Right. So, and even they
mm,
didn't even understand that in itself, right? Because carpentry, that's dealing with building, you know,
mm,
building houses, okay? And even in that, you have to understand that he's known as the carpenter's son. That means that he was going to be sent forth, if you look at it in the spirit, that he was going to rebuild the house, okay? He's going to rebuild mainly the house of David, all right?
mm.
So it says, is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joses, and Simon
Mhm.
and Judas, and his
See,
sisters?
see, they basically mention them like we know them, and they're nobody special. He doesn't know. He doesn't have any connections to anyone of importance, and you know what I mean. They know their families, and everything was revolved around families back then. Like, what family line did you come from? That might mean something to somebody, and it still does, man. You go around and you say like your last name is Jakes, they're gonna be like you the TD Jakes. Like the dude that came by us yesterday, he said, "I come from a family. My family is the number one um publisher of Christian books, and this guy was a demon, and he comes from the number one Christian book producing family of America, more than likely." I see it because I mean, it's not hard to see. Because look at Joe
Yeah,
Biden's son. He's a straight up glorified crackhead. But look what family he comes from, and ultimately, the family lines of Esau is demonic as hell. I mean, the higher you go up on an Edomite family line, but when it comes to Jake, we're a righteous people. So if we're in a wicked empire and we're the righteous people, that means the righteous families of the Lord are going to be the most afflicted. Usually, they're not going to be the ones sitting on a high horse. That's not, Caiaphas and them. When Caiaphas and them return, right, reincarnation, they're not going to be the lowly ones trying to work it. They're going to be right back on them high horse seats that they done found themselves in, like a TD Jakes, like a Creflo Dollar, like somebody with some type of authority over the rest of like a Al Sharpton type of role, where Yahweh Shai would have been a plain man who came and just spoke to the people and dwelling kind of like how we do. We out there where the people are at. We're not out there in the Sanhedrins and the cathedrals and the modified, overglorified harlot houses where they call churches. We're not there, man. We are on the streets, exactly where you would have found Yahweh Shai during that time, where he told men to go. It ain't even about, first of all, it ain't even about the church and the buildings. You don't got it all wrong if you even think you on a level where you got to go to attend inside the building. You are missing the biggest point that's narrated throughout the scriptures from the beginning of the time. When the words of the Lord came down, most of the time they were outdoors. Where Paul went, that famous speech that he had amongst the Gentiles who are Israelite foreigners, that was on a place called Mars Hill, Areopagus, which means that was a place, the Agora, the marketplace. That was where all minds, a meeting of the minds of different philosophies would come, and they would have different pillars for different gods. And this was all outdoors, man. You know, where men taught and learned were outdoors, you know, creative. Now you had certain classroom settings and indoor settings. There wasn't like that didn't exist. Temples existed, synagogues existed. But where did the Lord really teach? Right? Where he was in a garden in this area, he was on a mountaintop on that one, the Sermon on the Mount. He was on a boat teaching to the multitude on the seashore. Where do you get this idea that he was always decked out and elaborate? All right. And even when it comes to speech, that's another thing. Like they keep believing in faulty things, even when it comes to speech. Paul said, I don't speak to you in these great words and these big words. And then you go to a lot of these churches, and that's exactly what they want to do. And the Presbyterian, they just breaking down all these words, and they'll never break none of them down. And then they start dealing with it'll be, they went through all the theology school forever. They got a whole curriculum of theology they then went through, and they still summing up they're learning with and when the scriptures say, what good is it to speak another language if the one can't interpret it for you? Rather that you prophesy and not be with any of that. And Paul said, look, you know, I don't come with great oratory and speech and elaborate. I speak layman's. And Apostle Gabar just made a video on that as well. He said, look, you know, you edify when you teach. Remember, the most important part of teaching is teach in words that people will understand you. At the end of the day, you just want to relay a message. It's not your message. It's not you. You aren't the message. The message is that the kingdom of heaven is not at hand. And the elect will be restored and return back to the Father before the day of the judgment. And then the kingdom of heaven will be everlasting. These are the messages, like the mark of the beast and the fair to keep it sound fair to the Lord. And the message was never about me or power, Masha, and what the message is about believing on the Father, fearing the Lord and keeping his commandments and believing on it. And then feeding the flock, man. It's what Yahweh Shai had to say. And so it gets all caught up, man, into what his fashion show and how great they sounded and what building they gonna be in and how much money. You people want to be tricked and schemed, man. I got something when you get a chance. I don't know if you're still in the middle of it.
Yeah, I'm still in the middle. I'm gonna finish it off.
You go for it, brother.
So back at Matthew chapter 13, and let's see, I'll start at verse 57. It says, and they were offended in him, but Yahweh Shai said unto them, is the point. It says, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. And see, and that's the same thing again today, man. You know, if you're a prophet, you're a true prophet of Yahweh Shai, you're gonna be hard pressed to find any sort of honor or respect within your own, your own family, your own people, man. You know, and why is that? Because again, like it says here, a prophet is not without honor, saving his own country or in his own house. Why? Because the prophets are bringing out the message, all right, which is not enticing, to the populace. You know, why? Because it's speaking on coming, the coming of the kingdom of Yahweh Shah, which is clear contrary to what's set up in this time. You know, and what's set up in this time is what our people are into and what they subscribe to. You know, why? Because they see, the perks of the wicked. They see in this lifetime today, they see the wicked, gaining, you know, and they want a piece of that. So that's why they feel in a hard press, or they feel inclined to fulfill the works of the wicked, to get into what they get into. They see Esau, do something, they're gonna do it too. And the same thing happened during the time of Yahushua. And there was a saying that was going around during that time saying, when in doubt, do as the Romans do, you know? And that same message is ringing around the majority of our people today, you know? When in doubt, do as the Edomites do. And that's what the mindset of our people are in today, you know? So when they see the prophets, come out, right, and bringing this message, there's no honor amongst our people, we don't have this sort of honor amongst our people, all right? And that's how it's just got to be. So whenever you see things like this taking place, concerning all this ministry, all right, you know that you're in good case, you know? Why? Because this is the same thing that Yahweh Shah was experiencing, you know? So therefore, we're confident in knowing that, because at the end of all the backlash that Yahweh Shah was receiving when he was bringing out the gospel, which was the coming of the kingdom, right? The end of his work was peace, all right, rulership, receiving the seat at the right hand of the Heavenly Father, man. At the end of all that, okay. So that is what we believe in as well. That at the end of this journey, we're receiving the backlash, and the constant attacks from our people, right? And just how they did with Yahweh Shah, right? Guess what? At the end of this, we know that there's peace. Okay. Why? Because we are delivering, or we are following the stead of Yahweh Shah, because he's the forerunner, you know. And like I said, since he's the forerunner and he received these things, we know, we believe that we're also going to take part in that as well. All right. And that's going to come in the form of being joint heirs with Yahweh Shah. Okay. But what our people are stuck on today is that they want it now, you know. They wanted to come, yesterday. They want, to receive, the things which are here in this world, to receive, the benefits and the perks. Even King David even pointed out, right? In Psalms, he said, look, he was his foot almost slipped when he saw the prosperity of the wicked, you know. And why? Because and again, same thing today, Jake gets tripped up, and they slip because they see, what the next man, what they got going on, what have you, or what this Edomite has, or what this person got, and they want that, instead of getting into this, right, returning back to your power, and just wait, you know, just wait on the kingdom, man, But our people can't do that, all right. But yeah, that was it. I got on that.
I got something for you.
Okay.
1 Corinthians 10:5, 10:6. Now these things were our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted.
Yeah, that's right. So these are examples, all right, to not lust after things that they have lusted, right? And the things that they lust after, right? It's not based on the words of the Lord. It's not based on the scriptures, man. But the things that they lusting after are the things that pleases the flesh, you know, the things that that please them, in this current world, okay? Because they see this as their heaven, this is regarded as their Garden of Eden, this is their paradise, you know, this is what they chosen, to be as their paradise, their resting place, okay? But we know, all right, through spirit and power, how about Shemel Shah, that this ain't it, this is not our place of rest, and why? Because again, the things that they lust after, these things lead to death. All right, this leads to you meeting a short end. You know, because and again, like I was mentioning earlier, with the end of Yahweh Shah's work, his end was peace. Okay, but these people that you see today, all right, that lust after the things of this world, or lust after the flesh, right? Their end is going to be chaos, you know, confusion and destruction at the end of it, man. You know, but it's more
Got a
than
different
that.
one. Yeah, I
Okay.
got a different one. 1 John 2:17. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of Yahweh abideth forever.
That's right. So again, them going after those same lusts, all right, it has an end, you know. But at the end of what we lust after is the truth, okay? And that's the point, because like I said, with these people, they lust after things of the flesh, but here it is on our end, we lust after the things concerning the word, man, concerning the truth, which is in Yahweh Bashim Shai, you know, and that's the correct way to go, all right, because again, these things lead unto everlasting life, you know, but
Last one.
yeah, I
Colossians
believe
3:2.
yeah,
Set your affection on things above, not on things on earth.
that's right. So set your affections above things on above, man. Basically, you setting your love on things that are heavenly. That's why the scriptures say that our conversations are in heaven. All right, and when you speak about the heavenly conversation, this is it, man. You know, distributing this word. You know, get into the truth, man. Searching these things out. This is a heavenly conversation, man. And not only that, even dealing amongst the brotherhood. That's part of the heavenly conversation. You know, because it's a certain way that you got to deal with the brotherhood, man. You know, and also as well how you deal with brothers. You know, so all this is a part of the heavenly conversation. This is another language that we're speaking right now. And the head brother, mentioned it yesterday. That this is another language to these people that they can't understand. And like you mentioned, right, about how they whenever they at the end of them, receiving their, credence or what have you, this, their license to, to preach or what have you, you know, at the end of that, speaking gibberish, man, and like you said, when you speak in another language, you're supposed to interpret that, you know, and guess what? We're doing that. All right, here it is. We speaking a different language, right, which is known as the pure language, okay, and guess what? We're interpreting that language, saying, okay, this is what these things mean, when the scriptures speak on this is what's talking about. Even yesterday, we said that's why the guy couldn't get it, because we were speaking another language, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and here it
Mm-hmm.
is. We was interpreting that language, saying, "Hey, look, when in Revelation, it's talking about this place, America, all right, which is known as Babylon the Great," and he couldn't understand it, you know, and which we already know the
Natural
reason
man.
why, you know, but
Natural
that that's
man.
that, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so we already understand why, because of course, he's an Edomite, but that for the edification, we did it for edification, just letting you know that, look, this is what we're speaking of right now. The majority of the world can't get it because they don't understand what's being spoken, you know. And the Lord closed that off. And actually, real quick, I want to grab a precept since I mentioned that. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, and it's at verse 9. It says, "Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink." All right. So here it is, they're not staggering or wandering around, due to, wine, what have you know, when it speaks about that, really they're drunken with the ways of Babylon the Great, you know, to the point to where you get to a point to where you intake so much to where you just lose control, you know, your senses are gone, your what's it called, your inhibitions, are out the window, you know, things that you would see, you regard and you think it over and consider, all that's thrown to the wayside, man, when you're drunk, okay,
Mm-hmm.
sloppy drunk, man. All right, and that's how the majority of our people are today. They're staggering, they're vomiting everywhere, you know,
Yeah.
and and just it looks a complete mess, man. And again, like it says here, really this wine and that strong drink, all right, it's the philosophy and the doctrine which is pushed by Babylon the Great, okay, which is causing them to stagger and fall over, man, and be overtaken. Because at the point when you're drunk, right, and when you're overtaken by wine and strong drink, all right, you know, basically you, like I said, you have no control. So you're at the most vulnerable, you know. You're able to be, you're easily able to be overtaken, right? And that's why now this is what's going on amongst our people, right? But I read on in verse 10, it says, "For the Lord Yahweh Shai had poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, all right, and had closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, had he covered." All right. And the land back and going back to what we were speaking about earlier at the beginning, right? About how you have our people that's in, you know, high positions in this current kingdom, all right? And the people and the rest of our people that follow after them, you know, they see them as being their prophets, you know,
Right.
as being their you know, their leaders, you
Right.
know. Scripture say that the leaders of our people cause them the error, all right? And
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord close their eyes to where they can't see who the true prophets are. You know, the rulers. And the same thing, you know, happened during the time of Yahweh Shai. You know, you had the prophets that returned in that generation, okay? And they couldn't see, you know, they couldn't see that Yahweh Shai was their king, all right? But who did they regard as their king in that time? It said that when they cried out against Yahweh Shai when he was about to be crucified, right? They said, "We have no king but Caesar,"
Mm-hmm.
you know? Guess what? Same thing is going on to this very day with our people. All right, here it is. We're telling them that look, the king is about to return, man. And what are they telling us? They have no king but Caesar. All right. In other words, they have no king but Esau, which is in rulership today. You know. But
And
yeah.
there
So
was a
again, it says,
small
oh,
remnant. Just that small remnant. Except for that small remnant, man, you wouldn't believe that. You would be like Elijah and believe there's nobody else there but me, Lord. And if I got to go through this alone, why am I even prophesying and doing all these things if there's going to be nobody there to believe anyway? And that's when and then the Lord had to show Elijah that look, 7,000 have not been in need of all. Is it 7,000, right?
yep,
And so even though it looks like there ain't nobody out there that's gonna believe, man, we still push on because we know that there are believers out there. And even Yahweh Shah during his ministry, men began to believe. And I was thinking when you was talking about them churches, and I'm thinking about all the women that's caught up in them churches, and what the scriptures tell you, silly women led captive. You know, and that's one of the attributes of being of women is that they're easily led captive. Going back from Eve, you know, you come in with a nice sounding philosophy, and you're gonna grab some women up, man. And it's really the men that is leaving these churches in masses. You know, these churches they 30 deep with 25 of them is gonna be women and 5 dudes. Now, how you expect that not to turn into a harlot house? That's why some men still go to church because it's like, dang, I got a lot to choose from these days. And then but then when you look up who's coming into the fold, coming into the Lord said, the flock of my pasture shall be men. And then you see a lot of brothers waking up. It's some sisters too, because even during the time of the Lord, you had Mary, right? Martha, you had his mother, you had many women that, you know, the woman that touched the hem of his garment. You had many women that was believing on Yahweh Shah and the resurrection, right? The women that was out there at his grave. But you got a lot of brothers that are waking up, man, because men, it's harder to fool men than it is women. So if it wasn't for the women right now, you wouldn't have nobody in these churches. They keeping them alive, and they on a lifeline. Yep, you got it out.
God. I got a quick precept, real quick. It says, book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 8. It says, "Now go, write it before them in the table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come, forever and ever." All right, and we're reading the note right now. All right, it says that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. All right, and like it says here, it says they much rather, them to hear smooth words, and that's why you was mentioning earlier, right, about how you can just easily get over, on these women today, you know, with with you know and, the speeches, the eloquent speeches or what have you, using certain word plays, things like that.
It's
You
still
you can rap this.
materialistic.
Yeah, yeah, you can rap the woman like that, man. And you can easily overtake them. That's why, and I know you mentioned earlier, right? That's what happened even in the garden, right? Uh, uh the serpent didn't go to Adam. He went to Eve. You know, because Adam would have just shut that shit down right then and there. You know, but Eve, you know, you can get over on Eve, man. And that's why the serpent went to it, man. You know, and that's why hey, that's what's happening even this time, man. The serpent is getting over on Eve, man. And
Hey
guess
man,
what? Oh, you got
Salaki, if you type in West African pastors or Nigerian pastors, you'll see that they get these women to bathe in the church. They got women there who they rubbing them, they bathing them in the church. They got women, and they forming a line. They getting women to drop their panties in the church. Bring me your panties. I mean, how much more? That's just the stuff that's caught on film. How much more are they able to get women to do? And the women, they have this whole like empowerment move right now where you would think that they all just sharp. It's hard. You can't get to a woman head. It ain't never took more than a mouthpiece, bro. Smell good, look good in the mouth, in the little mouth. A woman told me this: with tone and timing, you can get anything you want in this world with the right tone and the right timing. And she's speaking mainly for women. She wasn't speaking for men. Yes, lock it, brother.
I got another precept here. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 2, and it's at verse 1. And it says, "And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of the Most High." Right? Because you ain't gotta come with the best speech, what have you. Oh man, all you gotta do is just teach the word. That's it. You know. That's
Yep.
why it comes out. That's why especially us, Great Millstone, starting with the apostles and the elders. That's why this word, when they see this word come out, they see it come out raw. You know, because it's to the point. It is what it is. That's why even when you go into the scriptures itself, when you see all the prophets, right, especially the best example, Yahweh Shai, he was to the point, man. You know, he said, "Look, this is what it is. And whether you believe it or you don't, you know." And even Yahweh Shai knew there's going to be certain that's going to not going to be able to hear and understand. All right, that's why he was speaking in parables. You know, and if you didn't receive the parable, that's to show you that the Lord didn't give you that understanding. But certain men, they understood what he was saying. When he was teaching them to the ones that believe. You know, but like it says
Yeah,
here again,
and the rawness that you're speaking of, that comes from the severity of the times, nothing
yeah,
else. The reason why the reason why the word comes out raw is the severity of the times we in. That's where it comes from. So here it is. The word is likened unto a trumpet. It's likened unto the prophets is likened unto watchmen. And this gives the idea, this generation going back, the word coming out is likened to a call and a crying out. So this gives you the idea and the place and the setting in your mind, if you have a spiritual eyes, that there's an enemy approaching, or there's a situation, there's imminent threat all around, there's imminent danger all around. The watchmen had to stay up there. It wasn't that at any point in time where the watchmen can all just go home and just relax. They had to live up there. They went up there for a while. That was a whole position. And the word is likened to a trumpet, because when that trumpet sounded, those are those watchmen, or that was the alert that the army is here. They're here. They're at the gates. So you hear the trumpet. The trumpet gave up a certain signal, or it'd be probably more than likely is a ram's horn, and it'd be give up a certain signal, and you'd know instantly. It wasn't like you have to rationalize with yourself. You didn't take a moment to digest it. You couldn't deal with anxiety. You just knew that's the sound of the trumpet. That's the call that the enemy is here. Arm yourself and be ready. Because you had no other option at that time. The enemy's already here. Arm yourself and be prepared. Gird up your loins. And the scripture just sounding. And all these prophets and all these men waking up at this time in our lifetime, and it's just being sounded. And then you got some people worried about how we sound and how we dress. Do you think they was worried about how the watchmen up on the towers was dressing? As long as they sound that trumpet when that time comes, man. So we done got so far away from reality that people starting to think that it matters how the watchmen dress. They got one job. And it ain't to be fashion models, man. So when that's why it come out raw. What's light about having an army at your gates? How do you describe that in a neutral, non anxiety causing way? You don't, man. That's the seriousness of the times we in. They said when some say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come. That's how you started it off when you were speaking about, when you opened it up. You said, we're in the time of the Lord. The scriptures in Amos 5:18 says that it is a woe to you that desire to see the day of the Lord. It's a day of the darkness and not light. It's gloom. It's hell on earth. It's going to be a time like none other time. At what point is a man supposed to really just be coddled and start to cradle? Like, we supposed to cross our arms and go into a corner in the dark part of the room in fetal position and start just with our thumbs in our mouth and cower? Brothers is enduring until the end, man. We are in a warrior-like mindset. A lot of brothers, their name is Gabar for a reason. Through the Spirit, the Lord puts us around. It's somebody in the camp named Gabar in every camp. I don't care where you go in this. And that's the spirit that the Lord kind of puts up. Because if that brother named, if iron sharpen iron, that means we are building up each other. I'm a healer. This brother, right, drawn out. And so we are working off of each other. The spirit is just, right, iron is sharpening iron. And next thing you know, we just prophesying nonstop this word again and again and hit them again. And they really like, why are they doing this so much? Like the head brother was saying yesterday, why do they keep sounding that trumpet again? They can't even sleep no more because we over here just do it. The scriptures say, occupy till I come. Give them no rest, man. So, I mean, when it comes to desiring the day of the Lord, don't nobody like the watchmen be desiring the day, man. Because the way the people just get upset when you sounding that trumpet, man, and you doing it for their salvation, but they just want to sleep. You got it, brother.
Yeah, it's like that alarm clock that you just keep hitting the snooze button on. And it was
And
just,
there's a scripture that maybe the brothers bringing out a lot of scriptures.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
you find that one. There's a one in the apocrypha that go into that. Person that sleep don't want to be awoken.
kind of.
But
Yeah, I
you
think I
got
know
it,
what you're
brother.
talking about. Yeah, kind of. I just want to finish this off. First
Yeah,
Corinthians chapter 2, verse 2.
yeah.
It says, "For I determined not to know anything among you, save Yahweh Shah Hamashiach and Him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling." All right, and that's again, going back to what we were speaking about earlier, is that when they see us, they see us as just common, like we're they see us as we're feeble, you know, and but they don't know that this is what we're involved in. There's power, you know, and that's why he's mentioned earlier, that's the reason why, you got the certain brothers and certain counts that name Gabar, man, you know, and why? Because again, the Lord has given us given us His power, man, you know, but that's something that the world can't see, you know, why? Because again, this word that we're teaching is this truth, all right. This comes with the vibration of authority, you know, and what's that authority coming from? It's coming from Yahweh Shah, okay, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth, man, all right. You're talking about the Most High that was there before even time began. You know, before you had even had constellations, stars. He was there even before everything existed, man. You know, and here it is. We're serving a power like that. Come on, man. This why again. That's why when the people see this, man, it's they don't understand it. Because the thing is that this is a power that is not of this world. You know, this coming directly from another entity, man. You know, this is a force to be reckoned with, man. And that's why, now, today, we're coming in underneath the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. That same energy is being distributed now. That's why you're seeing a transition. All right, from wickedness to righteousness. Okay, because now the Lord is rising up. You know, and He's also raising up His men, okay, to come and to be the next rulers on the planet Earth. All right, but continuing on, right at verse 4, it says, "In my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom." See, and that's the point, man. Is that look, our preaching is not enticing words of man's wisdom. With people, something that tickles the ear. You know, that, oh no, this word again, it comes raw, man. Like the brother was saying, because this you have to realize that this is severe. This is urgent. Okay, when something is urgent, you're not gonna somebody. You got an emergency, right? Nobody's gonna call and say, "Attention, excuse me, we have a fire in the building. Please escort yourself out of the building, please, if you may."
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
when you see something like, "No, get the hell out of this building, man. There's a fire." You know what I mean? And that's
Hey,
how this word's coming out. You got it out.
and even Jake, when it comes to music, they don't even like those songs with a whole lot of words, and you know what I'm saying. I'm thinking about this they did like some Esau did some type of report in which he took a bunch of different rap artists and seeing who is the most lyrically advanced rappers by taking all of their lyrics and seeing what kind of words they use and seeing how rare of a word and hard of a word based on like the dictionaries and all of that. And then they came back to find out that the top artist with the most lyric, who is the highest vocabulary or the most expansive vocabulary, they were the least listened to. And some of the top artists out here who use the least amount of words, I mean, who's had the lowest vocab with some of the top artists. For instance, the guy who got the lowest ranking on the vocabulary as far as expansive vocabulary, was DMX. DMX ain't never used a big word in his life, let alone in a rap song. And he was still one of the highest selling rappers to this day of all time. And he's, out of all the rappers they could find, he got the most of the lowest vocabulary, because he's it was straight to the point, raw music. You didn't have to do no thinking. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in hit, I'm thinking about that song. Like, it ain't nothing elaborate to that. It was just, but that made everybody dance. That made everybody go crazy. And that's what, when this thing comes out, when this truth comes out raw for a man, that's like, when I first heard the words of this word taught raw in its raw, purest form, because pure and raw is the same. When I first heard this raw form come out, man, it's like some synapses in my cerebral just connected. And then some of them neurons in the cortex just said, I was like, I was sold. I was like, yo, like, they're not even, the whole thing about not using curse words, and what is a curse word? It's just a direct word. I was like, hey, yo. And so, through the spirit, the brothers also talk about this. The brothers that came in while it was still raw, we came in for a reason. Man. We came in during that time when it was raw, when it was still right. I remember the time when the poppy used to throw stuff out there. You might be kidding, something. It wasn't all the time, but it'd be a water bottle. They get so wrapped, and raised and wrapped up. And as a young man, you ain't thinking nothing but like, wow, for somebody to have that much passion, like just the passion alone, I gotta know where's the passion coming from? And man, only years later, here it is, the most I see through the city about me outside. I see it's the urgency. There ain't nothing about this scripture that we telling you, look, 20 years, just come back and we'll be doing the same thing. No, man. We don't even know if tomorrow we're gonna be here tomorrow to let you know this. The Lord might just, right? But we know one thing, the scriptures say not one jot or a tittle shall be removed. I mean, till all of these things come to pass. The Lord said, these things shall come to, but the end is not yet. Yo, man, rumors of wars and wars, everything turning up now, man. You got to be out your mind to think that some of the things that we saying ain't of divine inspiration, divinely inspired. The things that are written that we reading for our learning aren't divinely inspired for the time we in now. Not just for any time, man. Anybody in any century could know for the time we in now. The Lord about to open up that can. You got it, brother.
Yeah, God. Yes, I'm continue to read on this. It says, in my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of the Most High. And that's what he's talking about, man. The power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay? And see, it's not, again, not with, fair speech or enticing words. No, it's a demonstration of power. See, when the words being brought out, especially here in Great Millstone, there's power behind that, and people see that and they pick up on it, because like you was mentioned, it's coming out in its purest form, man. Okay. And therefore, and they're seeing that, they're seeing the power in that, man. They're seeing the power of Yahweh Bashim Shai and publishing this word in that fashion. Because when it comes to this word, even the word itself is straight to the point. When you read it, when you read all these scriptures, man, it's to the point. There's no sugarcoating. There's no beating around the bush with it. Something that might happen. It could potentially happen. No, it said, look, this is going to happen. All right, this is going to take place. This is what is about to go down. All right, and that's why when it's being brought out in this fashion, they don't understand it, because throughout generations and centuries, this word has been brought out and with with basically with for fair speeches, man. Basically using word plays or what have you, okay, or basically putting a spin on the scriptures, man. You know, and that's what the people are more geared towards, man. You know, instead of it being in this form, you know, because again, like we mentioned earlier, it's foreign. You know, it's a foreign, concept on how these words are being brought out. Okay, and the reason why it's foreign because first and foremost, again, it's not of this world. You know, so of course, people, it's not going to resonate with certain amongst of our people. All right, but reading on, right? It says, verse 6. It says, "Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect." See, man, that perfect talking about the elect of the nation Israel, which Lord's will, we're a part of that number, man. Okay, so this wisdom that we're speaking of, which is the wisdom of Yahweh about Shah, okay, if we speak this among them that are perfect, okay, and like I said, that's the elect. Reading on, it says, "Yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught." See that? So the wisdom of this world it's going to pass away, man. All right, along with this kingdom. All right, the ideologies of Esau, Edom, okay, the this democracy, this Western mentality, this Western way of living, it's all going to disappear, man. All right, in flames. Okay. Verse 7 it says, "But we speak the wisdom of the Most High in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which the Most High ordained before the world unto our glory." So this is known as a mystery and hidden wisdom, man. Okay, and really it's hidden in plain sight, you know. And it's beautiful how the Lord set it up, okay? Because He set it up to where, again, like we mentioned that, like we started off with the live stream, is that you got men, all right, that have been set up as they came out of this world, right? And these are common men, all right. Even when Yahweh Shah was in the flesh, he was regarded as a common man. But guess what? All these men, starting with Yahweh Shah, these were the men of the Lord, man. Okay, and also as well, it says that like going back to what it was saying here in verse 7, it says this is known as a mystery and it's hidden wisdom. So when they saw Yahweh Shah and the disciples who later became apostles, you know, the reason why they were offended because again, because they saw them as again, just like a common man, and therefore it was hidden because what they were seeing, it was offensive. Okay, so same thing again today. When they see us bringing out this word in the way that it is now, all right, uh, the way that's coming out, okay, and and how we present ourselves, right, it's offensive. Okay, but at the same time, the reason why the Lord set it up in the first place is to hide this message from men who are not ordained to receive it. Okay, because men who are not ordained to receive it, they're like we quoted earlier, the natural man. Okay, so the natural man is gonna see us rough us with beards on our faces with and things of that nature, man. They're gonna see that and it's gonna turn them off, man. You know, but again, the Lord set it up that way, okay, so that the ones who can look past all of that and recognize the message, they're gonna come right in, man. And so
I got one more. I promise you. This is my last
yeah,
one.
that's it for me on this
Yeah.
one. Like,
Hey, brother. This is church, by the way, man. This is what church really looked like.
yeah.
Fellowship, going through scriptures and breaking down the scriptures and the words and the meaning behind it. So that for our learning, so that we could, one, feed the sheep, and then two, get it for ourselves, man. Because don't get it twisted. When we hear these scriptures, there ain't enough times we can't hear these scriptures where we don't perceive it and conceptualize it even better than the last time we heard it. It only gets deeper and more rooted, just like roots, just like how planting a tree work, man. The scriptures say, deep. How's it go? Rooted and built up. The roots keep extending, man. The longer you get, the longer you have that you're going through this and maturing and matriculating in this, and your mind gets to meditate on these scriptures day and night, the more rooted you become. All right. But it just don't happen overnight. It says 2 Corinthians 2:15. This is my precept. all the way to 17. 2 Corinthians 2 and 15. For we are unto Yahweh a sweet savor of Yahweh Shah in them that are saved and in them that perish. All right, so we unto the Most High, we are a sweet smelling smell in his nostrils and his nose when we're doing his will, which is through Yahweh Shah, teaching of his son in a restoration of Israel through his son. It says, "In them that are saved." So here it is. That's that sweet smell to them that are saved. It says, "In them that perish." It's a little different for the ones that perish. The multitude is going to perish. Broad is the gate that leads to destruction, but it's going to be the few, the remnant that are saved. It's still a sweet smell to. It breaks it down in the next verse. To the one we are the savor of death unto death, because the ones that perish, they smell this what we cooking up, which the savor is going into with the words we teach. Is actually the teaching in the scripture, the breakdowns, right? The correct doctrine. To the ones that perish and the ones that are going to die, it says, to the one we are a savior of death unto death. So it smells like something rank. It smells like something's dying. And that ain't never been a good smell to nobody's nose. It says, into the other, the savor of life unto life. Now, imagine that. That's that for the ones who get this and hear this word and chastise like the rest of us as sons and go through the afflictions. This word is still, it's a sweet smell. That's why we can watch brothers' videos while we at work, on the way home from work, driving to work, before bed. When we wake up, we can just continue to. It's a sweet smell. But that very same smell to somebody that's going to perish is this. It smells disturbing. It says, "And who is sufficient for these things?" Right? It says, "For we are not as many which corrupt the word of Yahweh." Going back to what me and Mashar was talking about earlier, there's a corruption of this word going on. And the way you know it's being corrupted is when men start accusing other men of being bum-mites, man. Because we're not dressed in a certain way and coming to teach this word in a certain fashion. That's the corruption of the word of the Lord. The word of the Lord wasn't meant to be, right? It says, "For we are not as many which corrupt it." So the many is going to corrupt the word. And by the way, it must be noted that these men that are fully into how they dress and how they appear, it must be noted how they getting this money to buy all these nice fancy clothes. And the way they getting the money to buy these nice clothes is from you people. You supplying them from the church, Christian, Methodist, Episcopalian, Roman Catholic, the people who are supplying them. You're supplying their mansions. You're supplying their Gucci and their Louis. You're supplying that. That's why it's corrupting the word. So when they call us bum-mites, just keep in mind that if we wanted to corrupt this word and be fashionably loud, we could. We could just hit y'all up for money every 5 days or so. We can make sure all of y'all send into the Cash App. Put the Cash App on the thing, on the screen. We're not going to teach no more to the Cash App. Put the GoFundMe back up on the screen for the one time. Hit me off if you understand. Everybody who say amen, if you bless me with the amen, bless me. We could just start hitting y'all up. $100. Sister, we know you're making more than that. Hit me off with something. Grease my palm. The Lord said, and start we could rip, right? That's called corrupting the word of the Lord, man. It says, "For we are not as many which corrupt the word of Yahweh, but as of sincerity, but as of Yahweh."
in the sight of Yahweh, keep you in Yahweh's side. Why? Because we know who's watching. At the end of the day, we know who watches. The Father's watching over it. Don't nothing get past it. You might be able to hit off your audience and really get them all messed up. And but who's watching, man? The Father. What's he capable of doing? Destroying, killing you and the spirit and your soul in hell, right? He'll destroy you in ways that you ain't never thought, man. Look how he was testing Job. And so all of it has to be done in sincerity, and that's the bottom line. That's why we ain't bragging about what we rock and what we win, what kind of money we bringing in, and how much. Right? We all working men, man. Brothers got 9 to 5s, man. We ain't had a day off, you know. A lot of us being fired, man, for this word, and it ain't all gold over here. But what, you know, the last thing brothers are worrying about is what we wearing, you know. For the brothers that got nice things, they ain't boasting over over the brothers that don't have it like that. We all one body, man. The brother got too much bread, he better start. For his own sake, he better start. He better be a good charitable brother for his own sake. The Lord watch him. Let's talk about that in James, you know. A man that have, you know, you have respect for a man with nice things and not respect for the man that did not. The Lord watching, man. That's the bottom line. We can't do this to your eyes. It's not your eyes, man. The Heavenly Father, he said, my eyes are 10,000 times better than the sun. You got it, brother.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I have another precept of the spirit pass on it. It's all good. You own another precept up?
Yeah. Say again.
Oh, you own another precept?
Am I holding? No, I don't have no more.
Okay, okay. I'm not owning anymore either. Um, yeah,
All right.
so we can go ahead and close it down on that note. But
Cool.
yeah. Again, concerning this word, like was mentioned earlier, the way that the Lord set up this ministry, this is where the truth is, man. You know, because why? Because it's not us. It's not of ourselves. That this word is being brought out. It's really Yahweh Shemel Shai is the one that's conducting this, man. All right, and we always use the analogy of a an orchestra. You know, you got the conductor. That's conducting the music. Directing everything. Okay, and then you got certain parts of that orchestra that's playing certain instruments. But it all comes together in this one song. You know, and that's what is being published now. Okay, and here it is. Like I said, you got men that come from different walks of life that's coming into this truth. All right, that left off the ways of the world, what they had going on, right, and they giving up. They're giving them up as a sacrifice. Sacrificing all that to gain Yahweh Shah. You know, and to gain Yahweh Shah comes with friction. Okay, from the world. All right, because like I said, the world has, they don't receive Yahweh Shai. Okay, so since they don't receive Yahweh Shai, they're not going to receive us. You know, especially among our people, man. You know, because they're looking for the things which looks good on the eyes. And something that is looks smooth. You know, but this is how the Lord is dealing in this time. You know, because the thing is that now we're in the beginning stages of World War III, right? You see these different nations gearing up for war. Okay, these different conflicts going on around the world. Okay, the plagues, the famines. Okay, which the famines are a part of it, right? Civil, unrest, anarchy. Okay, sedition among men. All that's happening right now, man. Okay, so therefore, and that's even why Yahweh Shai, he brought out the word the way that he did back in the ancient world, because he knew that the Romans was about to come down on Israel, you know, and it's about to and Israel's about to go through, persecutions, from the Romans. Okay, and then by the time, when Yahushua went up into the back into the spirit world, okay, and then 70 A.D. rolled around. All right, then our people caught mad hell, man. You know, and guess what? That this again, there's no new thing under the sun, man. Guess what? The same ones, the Romans, are gonna come back down on Israel again. Okay, and Israel's about to go through some hellish times, man. Okay, so and that's what we're preparing for. All right, and that's the message that we're bringing. Okay, but
Mm.
but if you want to add anything on that up?
Nope, said it all,
Okay.
brother.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and shut it down. So once again, Lord's will is edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. Sincere Akim, Tazadakim. The sincere brothers that's tuning in. Also Thawada to the brothers as well posting precepts. And you're seeing, on the side there, hey, Thawada for posting up those precepts. A lot of edification came out, man. So like always, Lord's will was edifying, to the body. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Dash. Also, as well, once again, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who continue to rule very well to this very day. It's continually feeding the flock through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And also, as well, Shalom to the hopefully elect as well. Let's continue to labor in this work. And I labor and show for you diligence to make your calling and election sure, in faith, in truth and sincerity, and also in all charity. And with that, I say Shalom.
Shalom.